Good Friday evening, November 1st, and welcome to the NCWLIFE Evening News. I'm Grant Olson. Here are a few of the stories we have coming up for you tonight. The Wenatchee Police Department says it needs the public's help in solving a hit-and-run case that began over the summer. The Chelan-Douglas Regional Port Authority is promoting its 28-acre Batterman industrial site for incoming developers. Mostly cloudy skies and warmer temperatures expected this weekend with more rain on Monday. Your full local weather forecast is coming up. A Mississippi Supreme Court ruling from 2022 shows Wenatchee Valley College Title IX coordinator Joe Eubanks has a previous domestic violence conviction. Title IX is a federal law that prohibits gender-based discrimination, and the duty of a Title IX coordinator is to evaluate concerns related to sexual harassment and sexual assault. Eubanks was arrested in February of 2017 after a former romantic partner filed domestic violence charges against him for allegedly choking her, and the conviction was affirmed by the Mississippi Supreme Court in June of 2022. NCWLIFE News learned about Eubanks' conviction amid an investigation into allegations of racial and gender-based harassment by male employees against their female colleagues. According to Interim Human Resources Director Lisa Turner, the college did perform a background check before hiring Eubanks, and she said President Famous Harrison was unaware of his conviction at the time he was assigned Title IX coordinator duties. Eubanks did not respond to NCWLIFE's requests for comment. The Wenatchee Police Department says it needs the public's help in solving a hit-and-run case that began over the summer. On July 10th, an elderly man in a wheelchair was struck by a car while crossing in the West Crosswalk at Okanagan Avenue and Spokane Street. It happened about 6:40 p.m. that evening, and police say the suspect vehicle continued on without stopping. It was described as an older, rust-colored Honda Accord or Honda Civic. The driver was never caught. Anyone with information on the incident is asked to call Rivercom at 509-663-9911 and reference the case number you see on your screen. A 31-lot subdivision is in the works just outside the East Wenatchee city limits. The Ackerman-Hearst project in the 2300 block of 8th Street Northeast would feature lots ranging from 1/4 to 2/5 of an acre available for buyers to build on. Application documents show the builders plan to install a connecting street between South Nile Avenue and a neighboring subdivision at South Newton Avenue and 7th Street Southeast. The project application is pending before the Douglas County Hearing Examiner. The nomination period for the Wenatchee Valley Uplift Awards ends next week. The awards recognize those who are making significant contributions to protecting civil rights, promoting social justice, or advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion. Previous awardees include the NCW Equity Alliance and the Indigenous Roots and Reparation Foundation. Nominations are open for individuals, groups, or organizations in the Wenatchee Valley until November 8th on the City of Wenatchee website. The Uplift Awards ceremony will be held on Saturday, January 18th, ahead of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. When we come back, the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife is proposing a land acquisition in Douglas County for wildlife conservation. And Washington's official sport will soon have a new home at the Wenatchee Racquet Athletic Club. I'm Grant Olson, and you're watching the NCWLIFE Evening News.
This is the time of year we celebrate family, traditions, and great food. At Abby's, our legendary pizzas are so giant that they feed up to 6 happy family members. When you need a break from cooking, think Abby's. Our place or your place. Our family is here for your family.
The Triple Topper's back!
This November, what makes Abby's Triple Topper so great? It's the pepperoni, Canadian bacon, and ground beef toppings piled to the edge. It's a whole lot of pizza at a very special price. Order your Triple Topper at abbys.com.
During the time I have served as your commissioner, the PUD has paid down more than $700 million in debt. I've worked hard to keep power rates low and utility services reliable. More than 80% of the county residents have access to high-speed fiber. I'm a real believer in local collaboration, in decision-making to get things done on behalf of all residents, and decisions made creating the best outcomes for the most people for the longest period. Thank you for your vote on November 5th.
A ductless unit from Carrier can keep anyone comfortable. Take Shelly, for instance. She finds me time in her new attic-turned-home gym. And with her Carrier ductless unit, the temperature is always perfect, no matter how intense her workout gets. Carrier, total comfort, totally happy.
Turn to the experts, Carrier and Alpine Air. Heat and air, call Alpine Air.
Enjoy the sounds of summer from your very own pool and spa. Blue Lagoon is now scheduling pool installations for this summer. Call today to schedule a free consultation for a custom San Juan fiberglass pool. And let the experts at Blue Lagoon handle the construction, installation, and regular maintenance. Turn your boring backyard into vacation paradise this summer with industry-leading San Juan pool. No need to go off the deep end. Relax knowing you're in great hands with Blue Lagoon Pool and Spa.
The Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife is proposing a land acquisition in Douglas County for wildlife conservation. The proposed acquisition would add about 5,100 acres to the West Foster Creek unit of the Sagebrush Flat Wildlife Area. The project would protect state endangered Columbian sharp-tailed grouse and state-threatened greater sage grouse while providing big and small game hunting and wildlife viewing. The project is part of Fish and Wildlife Land's 2020 process, which considers species and habitat management plans, regional conservation initiatives, and other goals. The department is inviting public comment on the acquisition through November 27th, which can be done on the Fish and Wildlife website. The old Pipeline Bridge has a new shine. The city of Wenatchee replaced and upgraded light fixtures on the Columbia River pedestrian crossing, which is officially known as the W.T. Clark Pipeline Bridge. It was the first automotive bridge ever to cross the Columbia, built in 1908, and now it's a key part of the Apple Capitol Loop Trail as well as the Highline Canal irrigation system. The city says the new bulbs and luminaries installed by its traffic and lighting crew are expected to shed light on the pedestrian crossing for about 50,000 hours. The Chelan-Douglas Regional Port Authority is promoting its 26-acre Batterman Industrial Site for incoming developers. The property adjacent to Pangbourne Memorial Airport includes about 10 acres on the south end that's reserved for future airport parking needs. Growth has exploded in the area around Pangbourne as data centers and other service hubs have opened in the last decade, including the new Amazon Fulfillment Center. The port is offering sites for lease or purchase. Interested businesses can contact Economic Development Director Stacy Demestre. Washington's official sport will soon have a new home at the Wenatchee Racquet Athletic Club. The RAC broke ground last week on a planned pickleball complex, which will eventually host 6 indoor courts for the fast-growing athletic pursuit. The official groundbreaking took place October 22nd. The new courts will be housed in a prefabricated annex to the existing RAC building, and they'll complement the shared outdoor courts. Once completed, the club will be able to offer up to 22 pickleball courts at a time. Coming up next in tonight's feature story, we'll hear from Andrew Engel and Suing Moody, the 2 candidates running for the 7th District legislative seat. Expect snowy winter travel in the mountains into Saturday with more rain arriving on Monday. I'll have all the details coming up in your full local weather forecast. That and much more still to come tonight. Please stay with us.
Hi, I'm Mike Steele, and I've been honored to serve you as our state representative for District 12 for the last 8 years. With experience in several leadership roles in civic organizations, as well as being a lifelong resident, I've championed projects that have made a difference in our community. I plan to continue the progress we've made together.
Re-elect Mike Steele, your voice in Olympia. Together we can achieve more. Visit votemikesteele.com, paid for by the citizens to elect Mike Steele.
I'm Jim Heinlein, and I've been working with you all for about 20 years now. And it's safe to say I've seen most every situation as it relates to annual election period. This AP is going to be like a tsunami. It's not tall, but it's huge in effect. And when the water retreats, you're going to see the damage to those who didn't react properly. So what is a proper reaction? Well, call a local insurance professional like Springwater Insurance. We have already developed a strategy for those of you who need a change. Give us a call at 509-888-2600.
Need a break from reality? Central Washington Water has a showroom full of possibilities. Ask about a saltwater system for a more natural approach to water care. They use less chemicals and have less maintenance. Free-flow plug-and-play spas make it simple and affordable to get you soaking. At Central Washington Water, there's a hot tub for every space and every budget. Central Washington Water, your water care professionals.
I'm Keith Gaynor, running for your next 12th District State Senator. It's been a privilege to serve you the past 6 years in the House of Representatives. I believe public safety is a critical issue that affects all of Washington. This should be one of our highest priorities. Washington families are struggling. Housing, food, and gas prices are severely affecting our budgets. We need to find better ways to support our families. Together, we can build a better Washington.
Twice in the past year, the Eastmont School District has failed by a hair to win approval for a $117 million bond proposal. It was designed to modernize and improve some of the badly aging school buildings that serve Eastmont students. With votes of 58% and 59%, the measure fell just short of the 60% supermajority required by state law. Eastmont lies in the vast 7th Legislative District, where Republicans Andrew Engel and Sue-Ing Moody are battling to become the newest state representative. In tonight's featured story, we asked them both whether that 60% threshold should be taken off the table when schools ask voters for much-needed bond money.
I will say I do not think that removing this supermajority, the vote is going to be the answer here. I think what we're seeing, though, with that particular incident that you're describing, because the reason why I don't think we should remove it is that it is something that we should have absolute buy-in. I mean, we need to know that changing the budget like that and impacting the pocketbooks of our constituents should have a high threshold. So I don't think lowering it is the answer. However, the issue that I think you're describing here comes down to what do we need to do to better service our school districts? And I think that's another question that I would be happier to answer, because I think we do have some work to do when we think about how do we budget for our education at the state level? What are those line items looking like? It sounds like there's several line items that are failing our students and our communities, our teachers, and our institutions, and yet we know that we're spending more on education than we have in the past. And so what does that mean? I think we need to really revisit what we're spending it on, how we make it more sustainable for our school districts to be strong and vital. That is going to be a requirement that I would like to see for our future generations. Our future depends on it, and I think it's the job of our legislature, and if I'm in, I would love to roll my sleeves up to get that work done, because it is complex. It is not simple, otherwise it would already be done. But I do think we have an opportunity here to really revisit the system. It's time to look at it, because we are now in a different time, especially with what our students are needing to learn for the future. And innovation is part of it. And so again, education will look different, and I think we need to address that.
Well, I believe that taxation is something that affects obviously everyone. And a majority, we should have a supermajority for tax increases in general, I think, but certainly for tax increases like bonds that are going to last for 20 or 30 or more years, where it's the people who are in the school will be paying off these bonds, they don't have a chance to vote on them. I believe we need to maintain the supermajority. What we need to do is work with local communities and build support for these things that can go beyond. We need 60% of people to agree. And there's other issues that cause people to have some trust issues. I do think we need to empower parents and school boards to have more authority with how they run their schools, and I think some of that could help build trust and confidence in our schools. I also think we could look at reforming how school funding is working. The state's paramount job is to fund public education, and there's been lots of issues with that over the years or concerns. And So yeah, I don't support changing that. I think we need to look at how we can get the job done and how we can build more support beyond that 60% threshold.
Time now for a check of your North Central Washington weather forecast. Hope you ended this weekend on a bright note. Weather not so bright out there. We saw lots of clouds, some light misty rain in the Wenatchee area. And as we look at our Sky-Fi tower camera up McNeil Canyon, all kinds of weather with some low-hanging clouds, foggy in the valleys in the mountains, and of course above Lake Chelan, also some low-hanging clouds, dark clouds. It looked like we should have just got dumped on today, but just kind of that misty rain, at least here in the Wenatchee Valley. But snow, we talked about it last night. Accumulations now pretty impressive, especially up around Omak. This is the Winthrop area. 3 to 4 inches of snow is possible there. Loop Pass could see between 4 and 6 inches of snow, and that also goes for Stevens Pass. Blewett even could see a couple of inches of snow overnight tonight and into Saturday morning. So if your travels take you west, you're going to run into some winter travel. Just be careful out there. Today's high temperature, it was a cool one, 47 unofficially. 51 is our normal high for this time of year. Our record 64, and that was set in 1997. This morning, very mild. We just didn't warm up all that much. In fact, our low 7 degrees above where we should be for this time of year at 35. 15 once again for the second day in a row, our overnight record low, and that was set in 2002. So far, anyway, only 0.03 of an inch out of all this cloudiness and storminess. That gets us to 3.79 inches for the year. Sunrise 7:45 and the sun sets at 5:43. All right, it's weekend time. Let's check out our temperatures as we get you into Saturday, and it's going to be a little bit better, a little warmer. 54 for Moses Lake and Ephrata, also 53 in Quincy, and then 51s from Wenatchee up into Chelan, 50 for Leavenworth and for Cashmere tomorrow. So that's about where we should be for this time of year. By tonight, we expect that rain to end. Here's that area of low pressure that brought us the clouds and the storminess. I think most of the shower activity will be in the Cascades, and especially, as I mentioned, up around the Winthrop and Twisp area to our north. Low temperatures tonight in the upper 30s. For Saturday, mostly cloudy skies. That low will move from northwest Washington over into Saskatchewan, and I don't think we'll see that much as far as rain on Saturday. Mostly cloudy and warmer. Highs in the low 50s for Saturday. And then on Sunday, and don't forget, by the way, when you go to bed Saturday night, turn those clock backs to standard time. Mostly cloudy for Sunday and mild. High temperatures in the low 50s on Sunday. So not a bad 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. But then look what happens on Monday. Here's our next storm system. We could even see a lot of wind with this. We'll call it breezy, but look at the shower activity, especially early on in the day, becoming more scattered in the afternoon. 70% chance of rain, with highs a little cooler on Monday with the shower activity in the upper 40s. And then some nice weather on the way. Tuesday, mostly sunny. A dual pair of high pressure systems will move into the west. We'll see mild conditions again with temperatures in the low 50s for Tuesday. And then I'll tell you what, look at Wednesday. Sunshine all the way from Montana back to Washington and all the way down into Arizona. Low 50s, maybe even some mid 50s around our area on Wednesday. And that nice weather, the good news, it's going to continue into Thursday. Big dome of high pressure over the northwest. Look at all of the clear skies for Washington on Thursday. Call it seasonal with high temperatures then, right around 50 degrees. Your 7-day forecast, overnight low tonight, 38 degrees, and then just mostly cloudy this weekend. Temperatures not all that bad for this time of year in the low 50s. By the time we get into Monday, our next storm system quickly moves through. It'll bring us a 70% chance of rain, 48 your high temperature. And then Tuesday through Thursday, nothing but sunshine with high temperatures right around 50 degrees. And that's a look at your North Central Washington weather forecast. Coming up next, tonight's sports report with Eric Granstrom and more as the NCWLIFE Evening News continues right after this.
Happy finally Friday. The Huskies resume an old rivalry in Seattle tomorrow. Washington hosts USC in the afternoon at Husky Stadium. Kickoff set for 4:30. That'll be on the Big Ten Network. Earlier in the day, Eastern Washington playing host to unbeaten Montana State on the red carpet. That kicks off at 1 o'clock on ESPN+. Central Washington's on the road in Texas to face Angelo State. That'll be at 4 o'clock. Washington State has a bye this weekend. Seahawks face a divisional game on Sunday at Lumen Field. The LA Rams are in town for a matchup at 1:25. That game will be broadcast on Fox. Arizona hosts Chicago a little earlier Sunday at 1:05 on CBS. The 49ers have a bye this weekend. Well, the Kraken stumbled on the road in Toronto last night in NHL play, falling to the Maple Leafs 4-1. William Nylander's 2 goals in the second was the difference for the home team. Eli Tolvanen was the only Seattle player to find the back of the net. Joey Decord stopped 26 of 29 shots on net. Kraken continue the trip tomorrow in Ottawa. That'll be at 4 o'clock on Kong TV. The Wenatchee Wild hope home ice will change their fortunes in WHL play this weekend. Wenatchee plays host to the Everett Silvertips tonight at 7 o'clock at Town Toyota Center. Tomorrow is, for the first time in team history, they'll face off against the Edmonton Oil Kings. Puck drops tomorrow at 6 o'clock. You can go to WenatcheeWild.com for more on tickets and information. Wenatchee Panthers fell on senior night last night to the Southridge Suns. Visitors from the Tri-Cities jumped out to an early lead, holding a 35-0 edge at halftime. Suns came out on top 48-7 the final. Eastmont wraps up the regular season with senior night tonight against the West Valley Rams. Coach Jay Foster expects the weather to wreak more havoc on the surface at Wildcat Stadium. He says that's why his team needs to be able to run the ball.
Yes, we do. I'm sorry, I have to chuckle about the field a little bit. It's a little rough out there. Yeah. I mean, the bottom line, I'm from the Northeast, and if you can't run the football, you're not winning in the playoffs because you can get any kind of weather at that point. And it's a little more drastic than here, but at the same time, that's still the same idea. If you can't run the football, you're not going to win in playoffs.
Foster says the running game will be important against West Valley tonight to help try to keep their high-scoring offense off the field.
Well, they've scored in bunches, and they've been a Jekyll and Hyde thing. Early in the season they were scoring and playing defense, did pretty well, and then the last 2 or 3 games they've struggled putting the ball in the end zone, and I'm hoping that continues. Obviously, but yeah, they throw the football. It's a similar type offense that blew us up 2 weeks ago, and if they get going, that's what scares me, obviously. I do not want to get into a shootout. Even though we scored 52 last week, that's a combination of events that happens there. We're not designed to be in a shootout. We're designed in a slugfest. So, defensively, we have to step up and stop the pass and not allow them to get going. And offensively, we have to protect the football and continue to do what we've done the last few weeks.
Senior defensive back Braden Jones is well aware of the Rams' ability to throw, so he and his fellow defenders will need to improve.
Yeah, it's been pretty decent so far. We just got to clean up a couple things, mainly a little bit on the pass. We have a really nice D-line. We have some pretty nice linebackers. We just got to clean it up a little bit on the defensive backside, kind of cover the pass, and should be pretty exciting.
Well, let's talk about that with this West Valley team. They like to throw it around a little bit. What are you expecting?
Yeah, they do. They run a kind of similar offense to Moses Lake, so it should be pretty interesting seeing if we can recover, kind of just readjust and see how we play against that again.
Jones decided to play football for the very first time as a junior last year. He tells me that, it opened his eyes pretty quickly.
It's definitely a great choice. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely, there's no sport like it. It's amazing.
I guess being someone that's pretty new to it, coming in last year and things like that, how long did it take you to get used to the violence of football?
Probably about a couple weeks. I mean, right off the get-go, we put on pads, and I was going up against some pretty big guys, and it was definitely a learning curve. But once you kind of get into the mindset, it's pretty straightforward from there.
Better to hit than be hit, right?
Yeah, that's what my dad always told me. I never understood, but Now I do.
Watch for more with Coach Foster and Braden Jones during our pregame tonight at 6:30. Grant Olson, Brandon Harley with the call on the NCWLIFE channel at 7 o'clock at Wildcat Stadium. Other Big Nine football tonight. Moses Lake wraps up the regular season at home against Davis. Sunnyside will visit Eisenhower. CWAC play last night. Grandview beat Ephrata 39-13. Lakewood edged Toppenish 38-28. East Valley down Ellensburg 41-7. And Prosser beat Sela 48-21. Quincy's home tonight against Othello. That kicks off at 7 o'clock. In the South Central Athletic Conference tonight, Cashmere visits Natchez Valley. Wapato hosts Royal. Wahluke visits Connell. Zilla plays at College Place. Omak celebrated Halloween with a home win over Mount Baker last night, 27-20. Coming up tonight in Caribou Trail League, Cascade visits Chelan at 7 o'clock. Bridgeport defended the home turf with a 58-20 win over Republic last night. Coming up tonight for the Central Washington 2Bs, Lake Roosevelt is at Okanagan, while Brewster is hosting Manson. Liberty Bell travels to Tonasket. For the 1Bs, well, there's one game tonight. Soap Lake hosts Moses Lake Christian. Coming up tomorrow, Easton is at Lake Quinault at 1 o'clock. Etihad hosts Mabton at 2. Orville plays at Waterville Mansfield at 6 p.m. There was just one volleyball match around the region last night. It found Moses Lake topping Eastmont at Eastmont High School 3-1. Mavericks won the opening set 25-22. Wildcats took the second 25-22. Moses Lake the next two 25-21 and 15. District 5 2A volleyball tournament is tomorrow in Sela and Ellensburg. Ephrata faces Toppenish at 4 o'clock in Sela, with the winner to face the Vikings at 6. East Valley and Prosser play in Ellensburg at 4, with the winners to play against the Bulldogs at 6 in the semifinals. Cashmere and Chelan will host the District 5-6 1A tournament tomorrow. In Cashmere, the host Bulldogs face Zilla at noon, followed by College Place and Omak at 2. Losers will play at 4, with the winners playing at 6. Chelan, Royal, and Connell kick it off with the noon match, followed by the Goats and Natchez Valley at 2 o'clock. Losers play at 4, the winners at 6 o'clock. Central Washington League tournament wraps up at Omak High School tomorrow. Liberty Bell and Okanagan play a loser-out game at 12:30. Tonasket and Manson play for the championship match at 2 o'clock. Cashmere advanced in the winners bracket of the District 5-6 1A girls soccer tournament last night with a big 10-1 win over College Place. They'll host Kyle Benton tomorrow at 1 o'clock in the semifinals after the Bears upset Royal 1-0. Cascade drops to a loser-out game at home tomorrow against Omak after the Kodiaks fell to Wahluke 1-0. Pioneers fell to Natchez Valley last night 6-0. Football and soccer flip-flopped at the Apple Bowl last night and tonight. The Panther girls soccer team will host Sunnyside tonight at 7 o'clock. District 5 2A tournament semifinals are tomorrow with East Valley at Ellensburg and at noon, while Prosser is hosting Sela. Eastmont wraps up the regular Big Nine season tomorrow at 1 o'clock in Moses Lake. That's a look at sports news. I'm Eric Granstrom. Have a great weekend.
Hello, television family. Dan Coons, host of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. On Monday's edition, we're going to preview General Election 2024. Live in our studio, Chelan County Auditor Skip Moore. I think a lot of people in our viewing area are going to vote, finally fill out that ballot and get it into the local drop boxes over the weekend because you're just plain running out of time. Skip Moore will preview what he thinks the turnout numbers are going to be as we're on Election Eve on a Monday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. That's right, Tuesday is Election Day. It's time to change the sheets.
And that will do it for our newscast tonight. For more news from around North Central Washington, you can find us at NCWLIFE.com, on our social media channels, or on our mobile app for iPhone and Android. And remember, if you see news happening, we'd like to hear from you. Email us at news@ncwlife.com or give us a call at 888-6295. I'm Grant Olson. Thanks so much for being with us and have a great weekend.